Welcome back, everybody. We are here today for another 20-minute pop-up, not 19, not 21, but 20, with my friend, good friend, coach, mentor, the one and only Mr. Brent Daniels. Brent, how are you, buddy?
Excited to be here.
Awesome.
I am excited to be here, David. Yeah, I love these pop-ups. These are great.
I love having you on. So today, Brent is going to talk about the fastest and most profitable leads that you can get for your wholesaling business, and there's nobody that knows it better. Brent, what are you talking about?
Yeah, listen, David, there's only 3 ways to get deals, right? There's three main channels, okay? There's inbound leads, there's outbound leads, and there's referrals, okay? And some would even say that there's only 2 because referrals are technically inbound leads.
Right.
But let's just look at what we're starting with inbound and outbound, right? Outbound is door knocking, outbound is text messaging, outbound is cold calling, right? Inbound is direct mail, inbound is pay per lead, inbound is bandit signs, inbound is pay per click. Right. And there is a hierarchy of the leads that you're getting from both inbound and outbound, okay? And it really, the main factor that a lot of people don't think about is from the first initial conversation that you have with the property owner to the time that you actually get paid, there's a huge range that happens there. All right. And there's a difference in the size of these deals. Let me just go over some statistics that I've pulled from my coaching clients and from my own business here, but this is an average for text message leads, for mass texting and text message leads. The average sales cycle is 120 days. Okay. That means the first day that you talk to them to the day that it gets closed, 120 days, average deal size, $18,000. Then you go to cold calls. Cold calling on average is 90 days, 90 to 100 days from the first conversation to the time that you get paid. And the average cold call deal is $20,000. Direct mail, this is our first inbound marketing, is 75 days at $22,000 average. PPL is, 65 days. 75 days for direct mail, 70 days for pay-per lead, and that's a $26,000 average. And pay-per-click is 32 days and 38,000. So the big reveal, David, after all of this is pay-per-click leads are by far the fastest and the biggest deals that you're going to do on a consistent basis. And the beautiful thing is it is wildly scalable. So you see it, David, you see people in their first year to 3 years, we're doing a lot of outbound. We're doing a lot of proactive activities to build up our pipeline of leads. And then we start getting into some more inbound from direct mail. We start, kind of dabbling in direct mail. We start dabbling into maybe some pay-per lead. But all of the major companies usually end up at pay-per-click. Because 1, you don't have to have a huge staff to be able to convert those leads, and 2, they're a lot faster and a lot bigger.
It is definitely the end of the yellow brick road. For us, we started with bandit signs and then direct mail, and then we went to talk to people. We did cold calling, which was terrible. Then texting, and then we're like, PPC. Like this was 100% the future and made our life so much easier.
Well, it just depends on where you're at in your business, right? It just depends on what your budget is. Sure. If you're starting this out and you don't have a huge budget or you're doing it part-time, you shouldn't be spending a lot of money getting people to call you because you probably don't have the schedule to be able to take those calls live or to respond very quickly when those leads come in. Right. And speed to lead is critical when it comes to inbound leads, right? You have to jump on it immediately. You have to answer the calls live, and or if it is coming from the web, you have to You have to get those people on the phone within 30 seconds. Let me say that again to everybody. 30 seconds. Okay. It's not 5 minutes. It's not 7 minutes. It's not 10. It's not within an hour.
The next morning.
In 30 seconds.
Yeah. And that's because somebody went and filled out your form, and then they're just going to the next form and the next form and the next form. Yeah. So it's
and 85% of them are on their phone. What happens on our phone all day long, David, is notifications. And then we're off on some other thing, some other world, some other path that we're down, and we're not, oh, well, somebody's calling me. I don't want to deal with that right now. I'm going to respond to my cousin who just Facebook messaged me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that is the reality of it, is you have to get to these leads very, very fast if you're going to have inbound leads. Now, your schedule is congested. If you're doing this time, if you're just building up momentum in your real estate journey, then you should be proactive. You should be making offers on the MLS. You should be cold calling ugly houses. You should be texting those, probates and inherited lists. But at some point, as your business matures and grows and gets to the point where you have a nice, healthy budget where you can spend to get people to call you, the timeline shortens and the deals actually get bigger.
I love that. So do you have a preference between answering calls live, web forms, or like even sending it to an answering service? What's your preference?
The live calls are absolutely the best. Okay. Like if somebody calls you from your website and you answer it live, you're there. You're they are, I would say, a higher level of motivation as opposed to, I'm going to just fill out this form on my phone or computer, and maybe I'll answer if they call me, maybe not. If they're just like, I'm going to call somebody, it's like your roof is leaking. You know what I mean? You're not filling out a form if your roof is leaking and there's a big storm coming. You're going to get that fixed. If something is, if you've got a burst pipe in your house, or you've got an electrical outlet that's sparking, you're not just going to fill out a form. You're going to get on and call somebody, right? And so there's just a higher level of motivation when that happens.
Nice. And what about AI? That's the big thing now. AI can answer your calls and be on your website. Where are you at on all that?
I'm not convinced. I think that it's coming. I think that it could. But listen, discovery is everything, David, in this business. In the business of finding really great real estate opportunities, the conversation and the discovery that we have to find out what is the actual goal of this property owner.
Yeah.
Is the goal to sell the house for as much as possible? Is the goal to sell it and get speed and convenience? You know what I mean? And like, who's the decision makers here? What are the expectations here? What is their timeline for them to make the decision and or be done with the entire process?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they're either first reaching out or we're reaching out to them, they have their force field up. They're protecting themselves on some level because they don't really know who we are, right? They give us a little bit of information, but a lot of times they're sitting across the poker table from us when they should be sitting next to us.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it should be more of, a collaboration of efforts as opposed to me versus you.
So how is that conversation different when it's, it's an outbound call, like when we were doing cold calling?
Come on.
And I know. And when we're getting those people who are calling us up, who, they're losing sleep over this property at night because they just need someone to solve the problem.
Listen, inbound leads are the most incredible. If you've done outbound, if you made cold calls, if you knocked doors, if you've gotten a lot of rejection, if you've got a lot of, you called me, you tell me, when you initiate it, you're on your back foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's inbound, they're initiating these conversations. Yeah. And so they're more open to telling you what's going on and what the plans are. Now, are they going to tell you everything? No. Are they going to get multiple bids? Probably. But if you're really, really, really good at using your tone of voice, at using really great questions, at actually listening and asking open-ended questions, you're going to convert that lead, and it's going to be fast. It's going to be really fast. And pay-per-click's the best way. I
love it. And there's nobody you're certainly the ones that taught us at Nationwide Property Liquidators how to do that way back in the day. So you're definitely the Mr. TTP. So where do you think the industry's heading? I know we've had a lot of regulation coming down. Some of that, with the texting, some of that kind of went off the wayside, or it's paused for right now.
Yeah, sure. Well, I
Hmm.
mean, it's interesting. There's always something new, right, David? That is a new plan for. Oh, AI is going to make all the outbound calls for you, and they're going to do all the outbound texts for you, and you just take all of the low hanging fruit and convert them. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You can't build a business long term off of that.
Right.
At some point, you have to get to traditional marketing efforts, traditional marketing channels that have been around, that are going to be established. It's going to help you build, a brand and or just a really good pipeline of opportunities that you can go to all the time.
Yeah.
And you're just not going to get that with gimmicky stuff,
Yeah.
because we're going to abuse it. We're going
Yeah.
to abuse it. You can see, look, from 2021 to 2023, the industry, the wholesaling and flipping industry dropped 70%.
Yeah.
So if there were 100 people in it in 2021, there's now 30. And I think that is a direct correlation to two things. One, interest rates went up, so the
Yeah.
cash buyers kind of paused, or the people that were kind of doing it part-time
Sure.
decided maybe this isn't the right time to take this risk. And two, you couldn't send out 1 million text messages every day.
What?
You know what I
You used
mean?
to spend 70,000 a week, so I get it.
Yeah, they clamp it down.
Yeah.
They clamp down text message marketing. So the barrier to entry to have conversations with
Mhm.
property owners became a lot higher, because you couldn't just send out tens of thousands of text messages and get responses. And so because of those two things, the 70% of the people that were wholesaling before are not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think it's wide open. I think during that time,
Yes.
there was a lot of complaints to a lot of different regulators.
Probably
I think
rightfully so. Yeah.
certain states took action. 20 out of the 50 took action. And there's a slowdown in that.
Mhm.
And I don't see it. I don't see too many more dominoes falling, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And listen, if you need to get a real estate license to wholesale, great,
Just do it.
fantastic. That just gives you access to so many more tools,
Yeah.
and have a little bit more credibility,
Mhm.
and it just brings more, ethics to the business, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we need to clear out some of the knuckleheads that are out there that are doing business the wrong way, that are making it harder for all of us. But when I hear that 70% less, some people are like, oh my God, wholesaling's dying. To me, I'm like, that's fantastic. 7 out of 10 people, I've moved to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here, there's less competition. And if you just go out and do the thing every day, just do the basics, you're going to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, you have to have leads.
Yeah.
You have to have conversations and make offers with
Mhm.
property owners every day.
Yeah.
It just depends on what your budget is. It depends on what your experience is. It depends on what market you're in. All of these things, and it depends on your schedule. Like,
Yeah.
all of those 4 factors really determine what your strategy should be for having conversations and making offers.
Yeah.
So, where do you live? How much time do you have? What's your budget? And
Mhm.
what's your experience level speaking to people about property?
Yeah.
If you don't have experience talking with people, and you don't have a budget, and you're doing this part-time, you got to be proactive.
Mhm.
You got to reach out. But if you are experienced, and you do have a budget, and you do have the time, inbound leads is inevitable.
Mhm.
It is inevitable. I fought it for years, David, because it's profitability, right? The ROI on cold calling, text messaging, door knocking is bananas.
That's right.
It's bananas, but there's a ceiling.
Mhm.
There's a true ceiling to it. If you
Yeah.
want to go to the next level, multi-million-dollar business,
Yeah.
where you keep 40 to 50% of it, you got to get inbound leads, whether that's direct mail, paper lead, pay per click, TV, billboards, bandit signs, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I saw you were talking about this earlier on your show, and you do, for everybody watching, Brent does a show every Wednesday. But you were talking about kind of that progression. So at what point, when you say your experience, like how many calls should somebody have made, right, before, or maybe how many deals before they start to think about PPC? Like, and what kind of budget should they start to have for that?
Yeah, I mean, for pay per click, you want to set aside whatever I'll say this: if you're in a small market, you need at least 5,000 a month in marketing spend. If you're in a big market, a bigger market, and that's smaller markets, less than 1 million people, bigger markets, more than 1 million people, you need at least minimum 7,500 a month, and you need to have that all put away for at least you got to have a budget for at least 6 months, in my opinion. Some people say 3 months. I say 6 months. So if you're in a small market and you don't have 30,000 sitting there for pay-per-click before things really get rolling, don't do it. Don't do it. You know what I mean? Bigger markets, if you don't have, what is that, 45,000 sitting there ready to be used for that channel, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? But if you do, it's like the greatest experience ever. It's the greatest, because
once we made
that 2 days, it's 2 days on average. That's how we lock up our deals. So if we talk to somebody today, we'll have it locked up by tomorrow. If we get that deal. Yeah.
And are you doing all of your deals are in Phoenix, or you're going and visiting a property, or you're just doing everything on
in Arizona, all of Arizona?
Oh, okay. So you're doing some stuff, just locking it up over the phone.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but if it's in Phoenix proper, you can't lock it up over the phone. Nobody virtually wholesales in Phoenix.
Really?
Nobody. Name me one person.
Really? That's interesting.
Do you know anybody that virtually wholesales in Phoenix?
We've done a couple deals, but nothing at scale.
Right. It's one of those markets where you got to get on the appointment, or you're going to be beat. And some markets are like that. Some markets you have to go on the appointments. Other markets don't. I see the Midwest and the central part of the country, a lot of parts of Texas, a lot of parts of Florida. You could do fantastic jobs virtually. We've tried it. I would love to go virtual in Phoenix. We just get beat like a drum when we do.
Just too much competition out there.
Yeah, they're going out there. They're putting the FaceTime in. It's a price point thing. I think, when your average median sale price is over $450, I think that there needs to be more attention paid. I'm certainly up for any conversation that people have otherwise, but I at least in Phoenix, you have to go on the appointments.
Well, and I think being live in person, we found this even here in Little Chattanooga, just standing in the property, you can tell if the floors are unlevel, if it smells of sewage. It just helps you be just far more accurate getting that acquisitions price nailed down.
Yeah, exactly.
So Brent, you were for a long time, you still are Mr. TTP, but you were a lot of cold calling, a lot of texting, all of that. What made you make the transition? What was the thing that made you start looking at PPC?
1 to 50 and 1 to 15. That's what made the difference.
Yeah.
With cold calling and texting, it was 1 deal per 50 leads. For PPC, it's 1 out of 15. And so when you have really great talent, burnout's a thing.
Sure.
Burnout's a thing. Really great talent likes to win and win often. Right. And if they can only win with 1 out of 50 leads as opposed to 1 out of 15, it just grinds the business. It just really grinds, and the lead follow-up just pours molasses on the whole business.
Yeah.
So we need speed for the cash conversion cycle. We put money in, we get money out in 32 days, as opposed to you put money in, you get money out 120 days, and it takes you 3.5 times more leads per deal.
Wow.
That's the fact. That's the biggest difference.
Right.
I'm just copying everybody else that's doing this at a 2 million plus on a consistent base. Anybody can go out, not anybody, but you can have companies that go out that do 2 million 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
When you see people doing 2 million plus for 10 years in a row, that's who I want to model. That's who I am modeling. And they all do pay-per-click, and they all do TV, and they all do direct mail. That's what they do.
And you're running your PPC there out of your office, and you have a little secret weapon. Tell me about your guy.
Yeah, I stole a bunch of guys from Google. I stole a bunch of guys from Google because, I wanted to understand why other companies were doing so well with pay-per-click. And the other services that I had used, it worked for a little bit, and then it fell off.
Yeah.
And so I had these guys come in and audit my old account, and they knew exactly what was going on, fixed it. And they go in and constantly are pruning all of the keywords. Because what Google does, David, is they will go in and suggest interesting ways for them to spend your money. And if
They do love
you
that.
don't have somebody in that's really sharp and
Mhm.
really on top of it on a daily basis, almost like day trading. They just
Really?
get but they're killing all the weeds and
Mhm.
putting up all the best keywords so that we can get ugly houses, as opposed to these people that have listed properties or the
Yeah.
houses are in great shape and they should be sold retail. We do a great job getting people ugly house leads. That's what we
Nice.
do.
Nice. So you brought these guys in, you ran it your own business, you found out
Yep.
it worked, it was freaking amazing.
Yep.
And then you opened it up for some other people.
That's right. Talktopeople.com. So
Talk to people.
talktopeople.com. We're more than happy to give anybody an audit on their Google account if they already have it, or have a conversation on what the best strategy is, how much you should be spending in your market, what you should be averaging per deal in your market, how fast it should go in your market, all of those things. We've got all those stats. We've spent over $3 million in the last year to understand what are the best keywords, what are the best times, what are the best strategies, how to remove all of the junk from it. And it's all in-house. It's all here under my roof. And so these guys are the best of the best. So if anybody's interested in that, talktopeople.com.
Love it. So if you got a little bit of experience, you got a budget like we've talked about, and you want to really blow up your business in 2025, and I know that we all do because that's what our New Year's goals were and our resolutions and all that stuff. Guys, make sure you're going to talktopeople.com. Get your PPC running right. Let Brent and his team of Google magic scientists over there get it running. I've been in the office. I've seen them do it. It's amazing. Talktopeople.com. Brent, thank you so much.